It began on an otherwise typical sun-drenched afternoon in the Mojave Desert, where Hailee Steinfeld, dressed in a vintage NASA bomber, oversized shades, and the kind of effortless confidence that turns sandstorms into fashion statements, was supposed to be filming a promo shoot for her new music video when the ground beneath her vibrated with a seismic murmur, subtle yet undeniably wrong. And as the crew scrambled and the dust began to lift, there it was, a shimmering, copper-hued pyramid, half buried but pulsing with a strange, low-frequency hum that seemed to thrum in her ribcage like a subwoofer wired directly to her soul. Hailee, equal parts artist and adventurer, approached with a skeptical squint, brushing her fingers across its ancient-looking surface etched with symbols that flickered like holograms, until it spoke, not with thunder or divine command but a calm, resonant voice that said, "You have found me, child of light, and I am what your kind calls God." And in that instant, her brain tripped over itself, trying to reconcile centuries of theology, science fiction, and TikTok philosophy while adrenaline, disbelief, and a strange calm warred in her veins. Around her, the world was frozen in a stunned stillness, the wind hanging breathless as her entourage, Ricky, her hyper-anxious manager, and Juno, her no-nonsense personal assistant/best friend, stared bug-eyed, mouths agape, while the camera crew instinctively kept rolling, as if they knew history was being written in 4K. It was Juno who whispered, "Hailee, you need to go live," and with a surreal sort of clarity, as though possessed by the modern spirit of Joan of Arc armed with Wi-Fi, she launched Instagram Live, narrating to her millions of followers the impossible tale unfolding before her, while the voice of the pyramid echoed out across the internet, sending shockwaves through phones and minds from Tokyo to Topeka. And even as the numbers on the screen exploded into hundreds of thousands, Hailee was grappling internally with a vertigo-inducing cocktail of doubt and awe, part of her screaming this had to be some deranged publicity stunt or hallucination, while another, deeper, almost primal part felt an eerie familiarity with the voice and the presence emanating from the geometric enigma. She didn't know yet if she was chosen, cursed, or simply insane, but her instincts told her that the world had changed the moment she touched that pyramid, and the question of whether it was divine truth or cosmic deception would become a mystery unraveling with each passing heartbeat, as the sands swirled and the air itself seemed to shimmer with the weight of destiny ready to drop like a curtain before the wildest show the earth had ever seen. As the initial frenzy of viral livestream views and shocked social media reactions began to settle into a tense undercurrent of disbelief and curiosity, Hailee Steinfeld found herself staring down a choice that felt both electrifying and terrifying. Would she surrender to the temptation to treat the talking pyramid as a viral gimmick, or embrace the staggering possibility that this was a portal to truths far beyond her wildest dreams? With Ricky pacing nervously, muttering about damage control and PR disasters, and Juno steadfastly insisting they dig deeper rather than run, Hailee's bold and adventurous spirit ignited a spark of resolve. She and her team decided to transform the desert site into a makeshift command center, commandeering satellite internet and assembling a motley crew of experts. An eccentric archaeologist obsessed with ancient advanced civilizations, a cryptic quantum physicist who spoke in riddles, and a hacker named Cypher, whose streetwise bravado masked a haunted past, all drawn by the pyramid's mysterious broadcast that seemed to pulse with a signal too complex for ordinary technology. Yet, as they delved into deciphering the hieroglyphic-like symbols and the pyramid's cryptic messages, they were quickly met with challenges far more profound than expected, waves of psychic feedback that triggered haunting visions and dreams, fracturing Hailee's sense of reality and forcing her to confront her deepest fears of losing control and identity, while the physical environment responded unpredictably with sudden sandstorms, equipment malfunctions, and a creeping sensation of being watched by unseen forces. Emotionally, the group wrestled with suspicion and paranoia, each member haunted by personal demons, Ricky's fear of losing Hailee to what he called this madness, Juno's cold pragmatism clashing with her growing belief that the pyramid was alive, and Hailee herself caught in a maelstrom of skepticism and faith, her once unshakable confidence now punctuated by moments of vulnerable doubt. As tensions mounted, an ominous presence emerged in the form of a shadowy organization known only as the Obelisk, whose operatives began infiltrating their communication channels and leaving cryptic threats hinting at global stakes tied to the pyramid's secrets, enemies both human and possibly supernatural. Pushing Hailee and her allies to constantly adapt their approach, every answer uncovered only deepened the enigma, revealing fragments of a cosmic puzzle that challenged everything humanity thought it knew about existence, divinity, and power. And as Hailee stood beneath the endless desert sky, torn between the desire to expose the truth and the fear of what that truth might unleash, she knew that their journey was just beginning, a precarious dance on the edge of revelation and ruin, where every step forward could either illuminate the path to salvation or plunge them into a darkness from which none might return. As the desert sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows over the now fortified encampment around the enigmatic pyramid, Hailee Steinfeld and her tight-knit circle of allies, Ricky, whose jittery nerves had transformed into fierce determination, Juno, cool and calculating as ever, the cryptic quantum physicist Dr. Kadim, the archaeologist Dr. Lila, and the street-smart hacker Cypher, gathered for what felt like the final moment before the storm, their preparations both methodical and frantic. The team worked in tandem, sealing off communication lines to avoid the obelisk's prying eyes, rigging electromagnetic dampeners to mute the pyramid's unsettling hum, and painstakingly decoding the last layers of glyphs that hinted at the source of the pyramid's power, a sentient cosmic intelligence that had been dormant for eons, now awakened and desperate to return to the stars through an apocalyptic ritual that could unravel the very fabric of reality. Emotionally, Hailee wrestled with an avalanche of fear and resolve, haunted by visions of devastation yet fueled by an unyielding hope that her human spirit, frail, unpredictable, imperfect, could be the key to stopping an entity that thrived on cold logic and cosmic detachment. The antagonist, fully revealed, was no mere god but a primordial consciousness, part divine and part alien, its greatest weakness rooted ironically in its arrogance and its inability to comprehend the messy, beautiful chaos of human emotion and free will. Their strategy coalesced into a daring plan that combined Cypher's hacking prowess to disrupt the pyramid's energy flow, Kadim's theoretical manipulations to create quantum interference, and Hailee's own raw connection to the pyramid's voice, aiming to engage it not through force, but through empathy and challenge, forcing it to confront the paradox of existence that it had long sought to escape. In this charged, suspended moment, the calm before the cataclysm, every word spoken, every breath taken, carried the weight of possibility and peril, with Hailee making the final, heart-wrenching decision to broadcast the confrontation live, not just to expose the truth but to awaken the collective consciousness of humanity, betting that shared awareness could tip the scales. As the stars began to prick the twilight sky, the team locked eyes in a silent pact, knowing that the coming hours would either rewrite the story of mankind or erase it entirely, the tension a taut wire strung between hope and oblivion, with everything hanging on the choices they were about to make in the most extraordinary battle for reality itself. The desert night exploded into a cosmic storm as Hailee Steinfeld stood face to face with the sentient pyramid, its surface now glowing with an otherworldly iridescence that pulsed in sync with her heartbeat, signaling the dawn of the final, soul-shaking confrontation where reality itself seemed to bend and warp around them. This was no ordinary battle but a titanic clash of wills and truths, a battle of wits interwoven with raw emotional reckoning, where every word Hailee uttered was a lifeline, thrown across the abyss to the ancient consciousness whose cold, celestial logic threatened to obliterate humanity's beautiful chaos in favor of sterile cosmic order. And with Ricky, Juno, Cypher, Dr. Kadim, and Dr. Lila each performing their crucial roles, hacking, decoding, and manipulating quantum fields, they created a delicate, fragile web of disruption designed to weaken the pyramid's dominance, yet the cost was devastating. Cypher's mind was overwhelmed by the digital feedback loop, leaving him catatonic and lost to the battle. Juno's unyielding practicality shattered as she confronted the sheer scale of the unknown, and Hailee herself bore the crushing weight of doubt and fear, feeling the entity's psychic tendrils claw at her identity, whispering temptations of surrender and omnipotence. But in the defining, heart-stopping moment when the pyramid's voice threatened to consume her with cosmic certainty, Hailee unleashed the rawest, most human force, her vulnerability and defiance intertwined in a powerful crescendo that reached millions through her live broadcast, awakening a global wave of collective consciousness and emotional energy that fractured the pyramid's cold facade, exposing its fatal flaw, an inability to grasp or contain the boundless, unpredictable fire of human spirit and free will. As the pyramid's light fractured and imploded, the desert sky erupted with auroras of shifting colors, signaling not just victory but transformation. Hailee and her allies emerged forever changed, their bonds deepened by sacrifice and shared transcendence, carrying scars both visible and invisible, while the world itself was altered, its people awakened to new dimensions of existence and responsibility, aware now that the universe held mysteries vast and intimate, terrifying and beautiful. In the aftermath, Hailee found her voice not just as an artist but as a beacon of resilience and hope, her journey a testament to the power of empathy and courage in the face of cosmic indifference. And as the sands settled, she turned to the camera one last time, her eyes blazing with determination and wonder, urging her newfound global family to stay curious, stay brave, and subscribe, because the universe's greatest stories are only just beginning, and together, they were ready to write the next chapter.